Okay, everybody. Today we're going to be looking at some Second Amendment Preservation Act, or SAPA, legislation that's going on in the state of Wyoming. Just happen to pull this up here. You had three SAPA bills, SAPA type bills that were introduced um, this time around. You have House Bill 0133, Senate file, which is a Senate bill 0087, and another Senate Bill 0102. Now, I'm looking at these as far as their last action, what's going on. Looks like two of them failed being introduced into a committee, and one of them did get referred to a judiciary committee, and that was actually yesterday on 17th. And today these are labeled as failed introduction. Now, I'm not very well versed in Wyoming legislation. I don't know what failed introduction means. Does that mean bills are dead and they're not going to move in? They're basically out of commission, or if something else has to happen. As of yet, I'm not sure how that works. But let's just assume they're both dead right now. Let's just say this one here survived. It made it into a committee. Let's take a look at if there's a difference between these two bills. And what we're going to look for in a difference, I've actually read all three of these, of course, but it's basically the same SAPA type legislation that you have in Missouri and stuff like that, and these other places where the your state officers aren't going to give any aid to any federal law enforcement officers that come into the state to enforce their federal gun laws. They just won't get any help from the state officers, and if any of the state officers do help, then there's a penalties. And what we're going to look at, of course, is what makes the Second Amendment Preservation Act an act with teeth, and that's the penalties. That's the main thing. So, I won't sit here. I'm not going to read the whole things to you. It'll end up being a real super long video. But if you watch enough of the other videos, and if everybody watching here keeps up SAPA legislation, we pretty much know what it's about. Right now, it's kind of like, show us the penalty mechanism. Let's compare them. So we're going to start with one that made it into a committee, and actually, we got it right here. And I'm looking right at the penalty mechanism. It says, any public servant as defined in, I guess it'd be Wyoming State 65, whatever code, who violates subsection A of this section shall be subject to the penalties in WS 68405B. As used in this subsection, the penalties in WS 68405B shall be applied to the public servants. All right, so to find out what a public servant is, let's go look up 65101A. Let's see if it's this one. Nope, let's try this one. 65101A. That would be, government would include any branch, subdivision, or agency of the state of Wyoming, or any city, town, county, school district, or special district within it. You got governmental function and all that. But there you go. So basically, any law enforcement officer in the state of Wyoming would be subject to this penalty should they aid federal officers um, in any kind of unlawful gun confiscation act. So now, wait a minute. And it also has the penalties. Now we have the definition of who it'll apply to. Let's see what the penalty mechanism is. 68405, offenses and penalties, defense of Wyoming citizens. All right. It's going to be right here. Any official, agent, or employee of the United States government who enforces or attempts to enforce any act, order, law, statute, rule, or regulation of the United States government upon a personal firearm, a firearm accessory, or ammunition that is manufactured commercially or privately in Wyoming and that remains exclusively within the borders of Wyoming shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. So any law enforcement officer in the state of Wyoming who assists the feds in an unlawful, uh, gun seizure or anything like that, or anything that goes against Wyoming's gun laws, will be guilty of a misdemeanor. And upon conviction, shall be subject to imprisonment for not more than 1 year, a fine of not more than $2,000, or both. So basically, what they're saying, the penalty mechanism here is whoever aids it, whatever state law enforcement officer aids the feds, and any kind of unlawful gun seizure or anything like that, and they're found guilty. It'll be a misdemeanor, and it'd be 1 year. It could be possibly 1 year in prison at the most. That doesn't mean it will be 1 year. That's just the most it can be. Or it can be a fine of not more than $2,000. That doesn't mean it's going to be $2,000. It'll all depend on the judge, or both, or you can get both of those. So basically, the most you can get for this would be a year in jail and $2,000, and it'd be a misdemeanor. And let's see, and that's if you get that. I imagine it's going to depend on the judge. So that is your penalty mechanism for the SAPA legislation that made it into a committee. Now, the two that failed introduction into a committee, again, I don't know necessarily what that means. I don't know if that means the bills are done for good or there's some other process to go through. I'm still in the process of checking that out. Every state legislature's kind of got their way of doing things. Some a little more different than others. So, and I'd like to be able to contact some people up there and see how that works. But let's look at the penalty mechanisms of the two that just didn't get through. So let's look at SF 87. We got the bill text right here. Let's see if I can find it. Hang on. Here we go. All right, here's the penalty mechanism for this one. Let's see, any political subdivision in a state or law enforcement agency that acts knowingly to violate the provisions of subsection A of this section, otherwise knowingly deprives a resident of Wyoming of the rights or privileges ensured by the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States or Article 1, Section 24 of the Wyoming Constitution while acting under the color of any state or federal law shall be liable to the injured party in an action at law, suit in equity, declaratory judgment, or other proper proceeding for redress and shall be subject to a civil penalty of not less than $50,000 per violation. Now, when they say subject to a civil penalty, that kind of sounds like whoever's been done wrong, for lack of a better word, I can say, the person that they did the wrong to. That sounds like a civil penalty means they can sue for $50,000. Worded a little different than say the Missouri SAPA, but it's basically the same thing. So basically, the penalty mechanism here is you being able to sue for $50,000. At least that's what it looks like. All right. Again, I'm just my first look, kind of quick read through it. So don't quote me direct. Quote me on that, but that's what it's looking like. So basically, this one has a $50,000 that you can sue for penalty mechanism. Right up there, same as like the Missouri standard. Our Missouri SAPA that got passed last year, and this one didn't make it. I'll tell you what. Let's go back. Went back too far. I gotta do this again. Ah, pull that up. Now we're gonna look at this House bill that didn't go through. And we got the bill text. And let us see. Again, it looks like they're pretty much the same things. Yep. Here we go. I'm gonna skip all that because it's pretty much the same thing. Looks like. And let's see. Actually, no, we're gonna need to read the whole thing. Any political subdivision is a state of law enforcement agency that acts knowingly to violate provisions of subsection A of this section, or otherwise knowingly deprives a resident of Wyoming of the. That is the same thing. Okay. Suit and equity, declaratory judgment, or other proper proceeding for redress. Okay, wait a minute. While acting under all that stuff, shall be liable to the injured party in an action at law. That sounds like a lawsuit, like you can sue, like the injured party can sue. Suit and equity, declaratory judgment, or other proper proceeding for redress, and shall be subject to a civil penalty of not less than $50,000 per violation. So here we go. Got another one with the big 50K penalty mechanism in it. Doesn't make it to committee. Interesting. I wonder why. I wonder. Makes you kind of wonder why those two didn't get through, but that other one with the really small penalty makes it in there. I wonder. Yeah, we got to do this again. Okay. All right. The sponsor for the one that made it in there is Senator Hicks. And the two that missed, let's see, Senator Bouchard and Senator Wharf. Now, you know what I'm going to do? Let's check this bill. And let's see who the co-sponsors are. I don't see, do you see a Hicks in there? Wharf, the other one was, I see Bouchard. Okay, here's your representatives. Okay, they co-sponsor. They get senators and representatives in on it. Now you'll notice of the two that didn't make it, one was introduced by this one here, Representative Wharf. The other one didn't make it was Senator Bouchard. Both these guys are, you got sponsor and he co-sponsored it. But the one that made it, the Senator Hicks, you don't see him on here, do you? Now, let's back up again. Yeah, gosh, gotta. Okay. Now let's look at this other one that didn't make it. The Senate file or Senate bill, whatever you want to call it. Okay, you got Bouchard as sponsor. The co-sponsors you got. Let's see. There's Representative Wharf. So those two were in each other's co-sponsors. Notice who wasn't a co-sponsor on either one of these bills. Go back again. Hang on. Okay. Mr. Hicks here, or Senator Hicks, did not co-sponsor either one of these two bills with the 50K mechanism. Now, let's see if those other two guys sponsored his. I'm curious. We got senators. Let's see, Cooper, Driscoll. Nope. Let's see who the representatives are. Burkhart, Greer, Harrelson, Jennings, Neiman, Olin, Stivar, Washit. Nope. Neither one of them were co-sponsors of his bill. Now, what does that all mean? I don't really know. Sounds to me though like some people in the legislature, maybe your power brokers or whatever, uh, didn't want that 50K penalty. It's more like they want this smaller one, but and if this passes, they say, yeah, we passed the Second Amendment Preservation Act, but the penalty mechanism isn't quite as stiff. Because also you got to think about it too. From reading that, okay, the officer in there, I mean, guess the officer that commits the violation, he's subject to jail time and I guess the fine. But you notice it didn't say anything about the injured party. So basically, I guess they're just out of luck because there's no recourse as far as suing. It's just they punish the person that did it. So your victim gets nothing. Whereas in here, I mean, the other two, which is why we like that 50K penalty mechanism, your victim gets to sue and he gets compensated. Now, I'm not saying there isn't compensation in this bill, but definitely there's no 50K compensation. I'd have to read that again. There might be some kind, maybe they pay for his, whatever he goes court for. I don't know. I didn't really see it. I'm not going to say there isn't some kind of compensation for the victim, but if it had been something sizable, I think I would have remembered it. But here you got in these you got where whoever's the victim of the incident, they can go and sue for 50,000. At least they get a chance to get some compensation. So that's kind of interesting. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk bad about Bill or anything, but to be honest, if you compare it to the two that failed, this is kind of a watered down version as far as the penalty mechanism goes. But it's still, at least it's a penalty mechanism. But the reason why I bring this up, I just want to show that. Like I said, I really don't know the politics in Wyoming. I don't know why this one makes it to committee and the other two didn't. My guess is just from my experience in Missouri and other politics. Anytime you get bills like those, the once you kind of get up there into the power with the power brokers and stuff, they just they try to keep that stuff out. So, but the reason why I bring this up is let's see, let's put the status here. All right, it's been introduced, so I don't think there's been any kind of hearing or anything on it yet. It's just been introduced to the Judiciary Committee. Because what I want to bring up is if you guys been following with South Dakota, they started off with their penalty mechanism being $1,000, which basically whoever I guess got busted and was and their department got had to pay $1,000 fine. They probably the guilty party probably had to buy lunch or something. But then when they changed it, but then once they got it into their judiciary committee, they made two motions to amend. They passed those amendments, and those amendments turned that $1,000 penalty mechanism into a 50K mechanism, and they also managed to squeak it past there. And then now it's on the House floor. It's been deferred twice, and this coming Tuesday we're going to find out. Hopefully they vote on it and it passes. So we'll have to see what happens with that. I don't know if they move it again or how that works. But, at least we know something's going down Tuesday. But the point I'm making here is even though that Wyoming bill, there's not much to it as far as penalty mechanism, it hasn't gone to any kind of you know, committee hearing yet. So who knows? Maybe something gets snuck in. But yeah, I just want to bring that up and show that to you. Again, it's some more SAPA legislation going on here in the country. We'll be trying to follow that too and see what happens with that. I got some more stuff going on. Just a matter of making some contacts and stuff. And plus I'm still searching other states. There's some SAPA type legislation up in Pennsylvania. I'm still kind of looking that over. See if I can give you guys a report pretty soon. And searching some other states. And again, anybody watching this, if you know of any SAPA legislation in other states going on, feel free to put it down in the comments. That way I can go check it out. It saves me a lot of searching. I can kind of go hit it directly, or any other good information. Because like on this here with the SAPA and South Dakota. This looks like this might be a good one. And then, you got Iowa going on. And I guess, like I said, here in Wyoming, anybody got information on that, or, would know who to contact or something to get more over there to get more information on it, that would be great. Much appreciated. Like I always say, I'm not afraid to ask for help, man. That's basically what this channel is about. It's about showcasing all this legislation that's out there, trying to keep track of what's going on. You know, hopefully I'll be able to connect with the people that sponsored the bills and stuff and get to talk to them and see what's going on and everything. That's, kind of the goal. And again, man, any of you guys got any information you want to add or put in the comments, it'd be much appreciated. All right, with that said, thanks for watching. And if you like what you heard, spread the word.